And we're live! This is Just Three Jobbers! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Just Three Jobbers. This is your boy, your homie, the main host of this podcast, Dirty Kev. I'm here today with Max, the unbelievable KO lookalike Zwak.
One and only.
Yeah, baby. And then also here today with the third jobber, the last guy to this trio, to this trifecta, we've got Mustafa Abdallah. Mustafa Hummus is in the building. Moose, how the hell are you doing as well, buddy?
I'm doing great, Kevin. How are you doing? It's been a long time since we've done a podcast, so.
Yeah, long
Moose,
time.
You got a fresh cut going there, bud?
Yeah.
A week. It's been like a week or so. But yeah.
Looks
fresher than mine, but not too shabby.
Yeah, man. I'm going to tell all the ladies, all of our lady viewers are going to love this look, Moose. So, hell yeah. Shout out. Moose is single still. If you're looking for a date, wedding date, whatever.
Des Moines area. The greater Des Moines area. He's ready.
He's ready. And boys, I asked you all to come here today for us to gather because it is essentially the last.
Correction.
Oh, sorry. Actually, you're right.
Moose asked us all to come here today.
Moose,
yeah.
I am somebody who takes credit. And Moose wanted us to come together, and he brought it to our attention. And then at first I said, no, Moose, I can't get back into this. Once, I can't do it. It's too much. But now we're here, and somehow he convinced us. I think we convinced ourselves, honestly, mostly. But now we're here just to kind of discuss the year that followed of when we started this podcast, 2020, and just talk about kind of just wrestling again. I think kind of just get our minds off the world. I mean, Moose, since you're the one who kind of brought us together, I don't know where I'm going with this, but just kind of Just Three Jobbers being back. What do you think? Are you pretty pumped to have us all back? I mean, are you just, it's been a crazy year for wrestling. Just give us your thoughts on 2020 in general when it comes to wrestling.
So 2020 has been a crazy year, not just in the wrestling world, but, just in life in general. But, 2020 definitely had its ups and downs during, in the wrestling world. We started off with fans, had the Royal Rumble, great turnout, great pay-per-view. And we actually went to Survivor Series.
A world ago. That seemed like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and we went to Survivor Series, which was literally just a year ago, like one of the last pay-per-views before 2020. And no one really saw, COVID really happening and stuff. And then COVID happened, and obviously we had to adjust, and wrestlers had to adjust as well. And, wrestling has just been super crazy right now. There's been a lot of great moments, but also a lot of moments that, us as fans have kind of looked back on. It was like, dang, they really shouldn't have done that, or like, what were they thinking? But I think 2020 and all is going to turn out into hopefully a good year. Like this past pay-per-view, TLC was a really awesome pay-per-view to wrap up 2020. So I think, in the future it's going to be just keep getting better and better, but you never know.
Yeah, no, it seemed like WWE did a great job of starting off the year and then also ending the year with solid pay-per-views. Max, your thoughts as well, buddy?
Yeah, it was. It really 2020 was really bookended by the best pay-per-views, and everything in the middle was, at least WWE wise, was average to not so great. But I don't want to blame them too much because just like everybody else in the world, every other business, every other company, they had to work around this pandemic, one of the likes the world hasn't seen since, in probably 100 years since the Spanish flu or whatever the hell that is. I'm not the best historian.
Yes, we didn't ask you to come on here.
That's a new segment. I'm putting History Hour with Max Walk. That's going to be a new episode, new show on Just Three Jobbers Pod.
Yeah.
But, it was tough for me a lot because missing the fans, that's really the best part of wrestling is the reactions, is seeing what's working, what's not. And it's a really different show when you're watching it just as a show and not with a live crowd reaction to see how real life people are actually reacting to things. So you're really only left with your own thoughts, what you people talk about on Twitter, what we talk about together here on the podcast. So it was very different, and AEW started having fans in the second half of the year, very limited and whatnot, which was kind of nice. You can still almost barely tell. They're not super loud, but it's something. But, they evolved their show from the empty arenas to having people around on the ground and cheering and whatnot, and then into the Thunderdome, which they're doing now, which was a pretty good idea. I think it's worked better. It definitely gives it more of a live event show feel than it had through the summer before the Thunderdome. So overall, it's going to be a memorable year, but not almost for the right reasons. Not that there wasn't great wrestling, but I'll never forget this year in wrestling just because of the things we saw that we never thought would be imaginable, I'd say.
Oh yeah, Max, completely agree with you, man. I mean, this year will go down in infamy. It's an infamous year, essentially. It's one of those things where imagine watching the Attitude Era, all the great memories and all the great, moments that happened during the Attitude Era, and it was all you could see were just fans on a video board. You know what I mean? It was one of those years where you essentially, you kind of had to make yourself really enjoy the shows, unfortunately. I mean, just think about it. Beginning of the year, AEW, WWE, had great pay-per-views to start off the year. What's even wilder to think about, too, is that AEW's had more shows during the pandemic era, without a crowd than they have had with a crowd itself. I mean, crazy to think about that.
That is a really cool point. At least regular crowds, I guess they've probably had, 5 months with the semi-fans. But, yeah, that's a really weird but really interesting way to look at that for AEW.
Yeah, man, and I think AEW again they've done a fantastic job. I mean, I think anybody right now, when you think of 2020, or you never forget just because the fans weren't there. You're also gonna think it was a show. It was essentially just a show of people coming together and just trying to configure everything. It was honestly nothing. Everything was up in the air. I just remember thinking, how are they gonna do WrestleMania? I remember I had lost my job at the beginning of this year. So, to me, when I found out that WrestleMania was also going to possibly shut down, it kind of freaked me out. One thing that stood still no matter what through this pandemic and was always there, and I can always remember that, was professional wrestling. WrestleMania still occurred, was the first time in forever. It was 2 nights. I mean, you look at, AEW also just kept putting on pay-per-view shows and kept putting on, some dream scenarios and superstars that we never thought would be in AEW. They still, everything kept chugging and kept going. Nobody was laid off from AEW. There was a lot of great moments from AEW and WWE this year that just, it wasn't maybe just being a part of it, maybe not the greatest thing for me. But now looking back at it, just kind of right now, thinking about it, I'm really glad it was there. And I mean, we started the show and we started this podcast just because of it all. Moose, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think maybe one great thing that came out of this 2020 pandemic is maybe, I don't know if this is true or not, but, people were talking about it when it was happening that maybe they might change WrestleMania to be 2 nights forever, like from now on, just because, how long the show is itself, is 6-hour show. Splitting it out in 2 nights, like the Triple H said, gives the crowd time to relax. You're not tired through the whole event. You get 2 nights of great matches. I think that could be one positive thing that's came out of this 2020 that shows that, if they did have this 2-night event, it might work better than having one long 6-7 hour, pay-per-view. So.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and it's even weirder to think. I mean, 2020 itself was a year that was unlike any other. We had 6-star matches. We had, the first time ever we had 2 companies go against each other essentially for an entire straight year. We had people burn themselves, the fire to death. We had maybe one of the greatest TLCs and Hell in a Cells we've seen in many, many years. It's a year of, again, I mean, it's just so unexpected. You never knew what to expect and anything like that. And, I guess that's why we're kind of here to talk about it. I mean, and we can go into kind of the first segment of it all. First segment I kind of want to just go through was just the top matches of the year, personally for me. And, what you guys thought were some of your top matches, and anything under the sun with that too as well. Can you guys see me? For some reason, it looked like it froze. Is the internet that good there?
I can see you.
You see me?
Yeah.
All good in the hood, homie.
All good in the hood. So, I mean, how about this? Let's just think of some of our top moments. Let's start actually with the moments, just because we're kind of on the moments right now. Max, you want to kind of start off with this and, you know, kind of give
Yeah.
a shout out to a couple moments and we'll discuss them.
Sure. I think two of the ones. Well, I kind of brought 5 up, and I'll start with kind of the bottom of the list which is Kenny Omega finally winning the AEW championship on AEW Dynamite in their Winter is Coming show here just this month in December.
Mm-hmm.
That was obviously a fantastic match, but also just it was a great moment to have officially have the heel Kenny character back and going into this, you know, new relationship for AEW with Impact Wrestling is really interesting. It's really cool to see two companies like that working together in AEW, really giving a boost to Impact. It's really Impact taking the help, you know, even though Impact's been here for much longer. So that's really interesting, and it's led to the Good Brothers are teaming up with Kenny Omega here soon. I don't know when exactly that's taking place, but definitely has put more eyes on Impact, so that's really cool. And then another moment for me that was just really great and personally awesome for me was FTR debuting in AEW on the post-Dynamite, or the post-Double or Nothing Dynamite, FTR. They're my favorite tag team, as all of our fans know, so I popped for that hard. So those were just a few of the moments. I'm sure the few other ones I have as well, so I don't want to take all the thunder from everybody.
No, yeah. Moose, how about you, man? You want to add if anything, I want to add this too. I think just to give to your two thoughts, and maybe you want to give some thoughts to Max's as well. Great to see Kenny Omega. This is probably the best he's ever looked. It's also just good for AEW to have a non-WWE guy essentially as their world champion.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho not Chris Jericho. Kenny Omega is one of the it's probably the best wrestler in the entire country. All of 2019, everyone, you know, he had to hear the entire time.
Technically Canadian, though.
Oh, good job. You're right. All right. Good point. But what I'm trying to say is,
he wrestles in America. I'm just being a stupid know-it-all.
Oh yeah, I think just what it is just cool to see the former PWI #1 wrestler. I think he's a 2-time #1 wrestler in the world become the champion, become the face. He's the best he's ever been. Him and Don Callis are nailing it together. And I love his character work right now, and I can't wait to see what else is going to come from it. And also, you know, to kind of piggyback that as well, Max, you know, shout out to the man who he took the title from, Jon Moxley's reign as world champion in AEW. We saw him become AEW champion at Revolution. He beat Chris Jericho for that title, and he held that title for a good, 8-9 months, being the face of AEW. I mean, the guy was there when nobody else was there.
December.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was there when nobody else was there. He was main eventing, doing, you know, empty arena brawls, putting on main event matches almost every week. You know, when Brody Lee debuted, it was him against, you know, his first big feud, I'd say, was against Jon Moxley. So, I mean, Jon Moxley just hugely instrumental in AEW's success this year. And I think is the best he's ever looked when it, you know, to his wrestling character. It was just great just to see him fully fleshed out as somebody who we know now consider an A-lister, I'd say, an AEW main eventer in all of wrestling. Moose, sorry, I wanted you to kind of go into your favorite moments as well, and then I'll go more into a couple of mine too.
I think probably my top 2 favorite moments of this year was, one, Drew McIntyre winning the WWE championship against Brock Lesnar in 5 minutes. That was just huge. Just because, you know, Brock Lesnar was, I wouldn't say he's the face because, you know, but not the face, not like face and heel, but it's like he was the face of the company for a while. You know, he was a champion, you know, the fighting champion, if you will say, you know, always would come back and somehow would win a champion. And it was just cool to see him get bodied by Drew, you know, just kind of a squash match, kind of say. And
I mean, Max and I have seen it for 5 years. Brock Lesnar winning the title and not showing up. It was finally great. Yeah. I agree with you, man. Finally great to see a champion that's going to show up every single week.
Because I thought it was honestly I didn't think it was going to be a squash, not really a squash match, but I figured, you know, it was going to be longer than 5 minutes. But that just showed how powerful Drew McIntyre is, and especially because he eliminated at the Royal Rumble. But my number 1 is definitely Edge returning from the 2020 Royal Rumble. Like,
yeah,
I don't think
that's my favorite too.
People expected. I think, when did people realize he was coming back? Like a week or 2 before that, or like was it kind of?
It was never confirmed.
Never confirmed.
Oh yeah,
never
they
confirmed.
hit him. They hit him in the
It was talked about back in like SummerSlam 2019 that they were talking about it with WWE, and that the AEW had offered Edge a contract as well. So there's talk about that, but like there was nothing in the dirt sheets. You know, it was really kept a secret, which was pretty spectacular.
I think that's probably my favorite moment, just because that, you know, Edge is a Hall of Famer and, you know, top 10 of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And it just like, it was one of the last, you know, live, you know, pay-per-views of 2020. And it was just, you know, that pop was crazy. And I think, you know, I kind of relived those moments in my head because we haven't had one of those live pops and maybe even since then, you know, so.
It's pretty insane to see 75 to 80,000 people all stand up and pop crazy like that in an open arena. I mean, that's a pop.
But yeah, those are my two top moments of the 2020 year. So.
I mean, it's kind of wild just to even think, just, you know, how impactful that Drew McIntyre winning the title was one, because he won and he finally achieved his destiny, and he did it in front of 0 fans. That place was empty. You could hear the big fan on the ceiling really going. Like there was nobody there. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what was going to happen, and he did it, and he's been running with it. So you got to watch the WWE 24 documentary. It does a great job of kind of showing that, and just how proud he was, even though, you know, we'll never forget this. And I hope Drew McIntyre is champion for the foreseeable future for the next few years, you know, on and off, of course. But I hope he's up there and he's the guy that's the representation for WWE.
Oh, yeah.
He deserves it. And he's just been nothing but a true, you know, just a true professional during these times.
I think if nothing else, I think when fans do come back, whenever that may be, Drew's got to have his moment with fans as champion. I think he's got to be champion until, you know, we get fans back, whenever that is. So. So you guys?
I agree. And then I just wanted to bring up just a couple more moments.
Definitely.
I mean, you know, if you guys think of any other moments, let's kind of just go through it here. Don't necessarily think of matches. We'll wait for that. But I would say Brody Lee and Matt Hardy and Miro. Those 3 returns to AEW were so big. Max freaked out for honestly all 3 of those. And Max, you're the guy who's kind of, you know, we can bring FTR into this. I mean, you're a fan of all those guys. Do you want to kind of go into just how impactful those moves were for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, they were all to different extents. You know, FTR the most, next, but then Brody Lee as well, and also Matt Hardy and Miro were just people that I always just loved in WWE, but they never got the storyline. They never got the right push or the right, you know, momentum to get there, and they never got, you know, that support from Vince or from management to really make it. And seeing them all go to AEW where they've been able to flourish, become a character, and actually, you know, be themselves and get that opportunity to shine a light on themselves. It's just great. It's been great. And it brought obviously some fantastic matches, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly. But yeah, all of those were big pop moments for me to see all those guys debut.
Oh my God, we haven't even brought up Sting.
What's also crazy is
Sting,
literally like a week ago, I literally saw Matt Hardy live in a WB ring. So it's kind of crazy to see, you know, and it was like as a mid to undercard too. And it's pretty cool to see him, you know, go to AEW and just go straight to, you know, the top of the ranks, kind of. Not, you know, championship level, but, you know, he was having those big feuds and stuff when he first came to AEW.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd even say a moment, also just another fantastic. I'm trying to just think of moments on the spot right now.
I've got some still that I'm surprised haven't talked about.
Dive into them.
All right. Well, we've got, obviously, surprised we haven't talked about yet, is the Roman Reigns return, and then
oh my gosh,
at SummerSlam. I mean, that was a pretty awesome moment. I mean, because
you won't see it coming.
You'll never see it coming. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you really didn't see it coming. You know, everybody thought it was about Randy Orton, but nope, it's about Roman Reigns making that return. And the way he viciously beat down, was it Braun and the Fiend, I believe? Gosh, it was just so cool. And like seeing that like visceral, like heel nature, the like just intensity that he never really brought as a face was pretty awesome to see. And then, you know, that evolving into him with Paul Heyman and him being the tribunal leader, the whatever.
Tribal chief.
Tribal chief, the head of the table.
The head of the table. It's been a really great storyline overall. So that moment definitely led to probably, obviously, the best storyline down the stretch here at the end of the year. And then the best moment of the year. The moment that'll be talked about for generations. And there's only, you know, 2 words to describe it. It's out.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
The eye for an eye match with Rey Mysterio versus Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins dug that eye out of Rey Mysterio. I mean, I'm kind of being facetious here, but it's definitely memorable. And Samoa Joe's call during that match when he said it's out, just so bluntly, we still laugh about it every time we talk about it. The 2 words will get everybody talking. So
I think there's
yeah.
Sorry, Max.
That's a moment I'll always remember.
I think there's 2 moments that are not as memorable, but just because they had no fans, and 2 of them. That's Sting's return to AEW. I mean, it was still cool, but I think if there was fans, that would have been probably easily the best moment of the year.
And it still had a great pop, even though it was
they
only
had fans.
25%.
Yeah.
But it still had a great pop for they all yelled.
I think the moment that really solidifies, you know, WWE and would have been huge with the live full capacity crowds, Undertaker's farewell at Survivor Series. I think that would have been a huge moment, you know, a lot of emotion. It still was, but honestly, I didn't get I didn't really feel emotional because, I mean, Undertaker's one of my favorites of all time, but just having in front of no crowd and no one, you know, I don't know, that authenticity of, you know, saying, thank you, Taker, you know, all that stuff just kind of took away from it. But I think that would have been.
I think the Paul Bearer, what do you call it? Hologram, that brought some emotion out of me. I mean, that was really, really cool to see, you know, really the one of the mentors of him and who helped him become who he was is as the Undertaker. So, yeah, definitely also a big and memorable moment to mention there. Good job, Moose.
Yeah, no, yeah, 100%. I also, Moose, this is one of your favorites. I think this is maybe not a moment necessarily, but one of the good things that WWE did really well with this year, and they created the Hurt Business. I think that was something that was very successful this year. Bobby Lashley finally is the best he's probably been. He's not just some afterthought, essentially. And now they have, you know, 2 different tag championships under their belts, 3 titles around them. It brought, 1, you know, Cedric Alexander kind of more into the fold. 2, it also brought Shelton Benjamin kind of back into it as well. I think all 4 of them worked really well. And then MVP's up there too as well.
Excuse me, dying over here.
Yeah, my God, just dying over here, everybody. Yeah, so I just, you know, it was a very solid faction. I think they've been presented pretty well this year, and they're one of the positives of Monday Night Raw, I'd say, too, as well.
A lot better than the faction of Retribution.
Oh, my God, Retribution.
That's the moment that could have been.
Yeah.
That could have been great. There's some moments for Retribution that were pretty cool and pretty awesome.
They're trying to salvage it. But
seems like it.
I thought it was pretty cool when they came out on SmackDown, you know, tore up the whole set. But then once they started doing that, you know, every week, it was kind of just like, really?
Yeah.
And everyone knew it was Dominic Dijakovic, and it was just, all right, T-Bar.
Yeah, speaking of Dominic, the number one superstar, Dominic Mysterio, Max?
Yeah, the number 1 face in WWE, right?
Yeah, the guy who's not even wrestling now, and his dad with one eye is main eventing SmackDown and like triple threat matches.
With one eye.
Oh, wait.
Hey, he was the top face over the summer until Drew came back on top.
You're right. I'm not denying that. You're right.
That storyline, I think, is
in my opinion.
Now you have what? Buddy Heel.
Should we talk about some matches?
One last thing. Just want to say before we go into these matches, just want to say this 2020, though, if we can all probably agree, was the year of Randy Orton. The rebirth of Randy Orton's character, him having a little bit of fire under him again, main eventing consistently, putting on great matches, and just being spectacular, I'd say. For the first 6 months of 2020, he was the best thing that was going on Monday Night Raw. So I'm glad to have him back. And, he's a main event player again.
It's out.
It's out, baby. All right. So then, and if anyone notices any moments we missed, let us know. But we're going to go to some of the top matches. Moose, I want to hear what are some matches that made you jump out of your seat, that made you wish I was there, even though I can't be, which made you think, man, if I could be in that Thunderdome on that screen, showing everyone going like this to the entire crowd. What matches made you do that to yourself at home?
I think the first match, and I think we can all agree on, is Randy Orton versus Edge at Backlash. The greatest wrestling match ever.
This is the greatest show.
Oh,
Because they went
match.
they went what They went like 30-40 minutes of constant back
It was
and
like
forth
45,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really. It was like 45 minutes of just constant action. You never know. Both were beat up, and it was just a crazy. If that alive, that would have got a 5-star.
Great
match.
storyline.
Yeah, great storyline.
Great
I think it
storytelling.
did get a 5-star, didn't it? Though, right?
No, he didn't rate it because he said it was pre-taped and with all the like special things they did to tape it through with the sound and the
Yeah.
The noise, yeah.
cheering and everything that he said he didn't feel comfortable rating as a wrestling match, but he would give it 5 stars if he did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha.
That was my number 3 favorite match of the year, by the way. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. It was one of those times where WWE actually met the expectation that they set.
I think one of my second favorite matches would have to be the tag. It's kind of a hot take, but the tag match at WrestleMania with Miz and Morrison and New Day. And
the triple threat ladder match. The triple threat ladder match.
I really enjoyed that match. They did some amazing spots during that match, and without if that match again had a crowd, a lot of pops, big pops, I think would have happened. And New Day is consistently. I mean, it sucks that they lost to Hurt Business, but they were on fire when they wrestled against Hurt Business TLC for the first 10 minutes of New Day just messing them up. But
yeah,
I think that's my another big moment is the New Day coming to Raw. Kofi hasn't been on Raw since what,
2016, I think. 2017, maybe.
No, they went to SmackDown. I think in either 2017 or 2018.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, you were pretty close. I just know they were on Raw in 2016 at that first draft. I'm pretty sure, Kev.
Yeah,
that's
you're
right.
Good point.
I just stopped listening because I don't know why.
Yeah, good point.
All right, I'll throw out some of my the bottom 10, 9, 10, 8, 10, 9, 8 of my list.
Cool, man.
Number 10, I have The Fiend versus John Cena Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania. I put it at the bottom of the list because it was one of the most mesmerizing experiences of the year. It's not really a match, but I thought it was just a spectacular use of that cinematic style before they kind of started overusing it, so to speak. So
yeah,
that's just it was the way they did the storytelling with going through Cena's career and with the Fiend and all his characters telling that story. I just thought was really, really well done. So
yeah,
that's one there. And then number 9, I have Best Friends versus Santana Ortiz street fight.
Oh my God, that's literally my 8.
Yeah, I mean, such a great match, man. I mean,
yeah,
that was just so brutal.
But it wasn't even a street fight; it was a parking lot brawl.
Okay, parking lot brawl. Sorry, I must have.
Think about that. One of your favorite matches of the year is a parking lot brawl.
Yeah, I mean, so well done, so well done. They took some crazy bumps in that match, man. That was awesome. And then my number 8 I have here is one I think that kind of got pushed down the wayside, which was AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan on SmackDown. It was the tournament finals for the Intercontinental Championship, which I thought was I thought was a fantastic match. I mean, it was a SmackDown, so it might not get as much recognition, but that was really great.
Keep going. I'm gonna grab some quick.
Yeah. A few others I want to throw out. Bayley versus Sasha Banks at Hell in a Cell. That was definitely my favorite women's match of the year, and probably my favorite Hell in a Cell match of the year. Also, right under that is Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell was also fantastic. That was more of the story because it was so well done with them talking and just I mean, and then with Jimmy coming in, and then he makes Jay quit. I quit match. I mean, that was so well done. But Bailey and Sasha had the wrestling intensity of that Hell in a Cell match, but Jay and Roman really brought that story that it probably didn't even need to be Hell in a Cell, but it was an I quit match, and it was a damn good one. So the WrestleMania match. Actual match I wanted to point out was actually Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah,
that was probably my favorite
solid.
Kevin Owens match of the year. It was, I mean, it was just fun. It was a match these two can put on together. They have great chemistry, and that Kevin Owens splash from the top of the WrestleMania sign was so sweet.
In the 24 W24, he goes, "I got to jump off that."
Yeah. There's a reason he's my favorite wrestler, man. He's awesome. So
yeah.
I wish I would have been able to see what it would have looked like, because I think he was going to plan to jump off of it even before it got turned to the show inside the PC. So
I think that would have been that'd have been crazy if it was a live show.
Yeah,
Max. I completely agree. I think those are very solid matches to put in there.
Yeah, I've just got my top 4 now, but you want to throw anything else out, Kev?
Yeah, I kind of agree with him. We can kind of, just because of time, we can kind of just – I mean, honestly, you probably have very similar to us. I'd say we could add in there – now, I don't know if you have this on your top 4. Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly, I thought was one of the best matches of the year. Just one of the hardest-hitting matches. I'm a big Finn Balor fan.
That was great.
It's great. It makes me watch – Finn Balor helps me watch a little bit of NXT. A little bit helps with that, and I think he just did such a great job in that match. I think they both did. I mean, they both had broken bones by the end of it. Broken jaw for Finn Balor, and then, torn ligaments for Kyle O'Reilly. I mean, it seemed like a real fight. Just they went at it, and it was maybe the best match I've seen with Finn Balor in such a long time. He needed it. So the king is back. The prince is back in NXT. He's the NXT champion, and I can't wait for him to see him against Karrion Kross, hopefully down the line in 2021.
There was one big NXT match that I thought was the parking lot brawl or street fight with Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole. That match was I really enjoyed that match. That was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought for some reason I thought it was like into 2019, but
nope. Yeah, and then my trio at the top. I have Edge and Randy Orton at 3, but at 4 I have probably my favorite spot match of the year, and that was the 8-man tag FTR and Young Bucks versus Butcher, Blade, Phoenix, and Pentagon. I mean, that match just had me jump out of my seat with some of those spots. And then, as it will not surprise anybody, my top 2 matches of the year. Number 2 is FTR versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page when FTR wins the championship. My number 1 match of the year is FTR versus Young Bucks, with the Young Bucks taking the titles for the first time. So they're my favorite tag team. They brought the best tag team storytelling in the entire world. They're a reason they're the best. Young Bucks couldn't put that match on without FTR. So
yeah, no, very good points, man. I mean,
Moose hasn't seen those, so he can't discuss.
Yeah, I hate that Moose hasn't seen those. Those are 2 elite matches. I think FTR versus Young Bucks. Now, again, even Young Bucks will say, don't watch. This isn't a match about the build-up. The build-up with everything going on was tough, but it was a match that exceeded expectations, where it hit expectations again, I'd say. And it just was such a beautiful story, 20, 30 minutes, I think, long. And it was just the match we want. And we know, I can tell after that match, it's only going to lead to others between the 2.
For sure. It'll be a years-long, feud between them, and FTR hopefully will in the next one. They're obviously their series going for years. A few other ones I forgot to put on my list. I kind of did it haphazardly. Was Young Bucks versus Omega and Page early in the year.
Yep, that's my number 1 match of the year.
There you go. And then I just also wanted to say triple threat: AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy.
Oh God, great match, man! Great match. I would put in there also Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for me. I thought that was a very solid match. Top versus top, A-lister versus A-lister. It helped. I think it really helped show Drew as the epitome of being, a main eventer in WWE. And he went against the best of the best, which I think Roman Reigns. I mean, he just put out. And then also just Hangman and Omega versus the Young Bucks was just a fantastic match, because one of the rare last matches of 2020 where it was with a crowd. The place popped. I think there was a couple of standing ovations, 30-minute match of constant action. They were just everything you could ever want in a tag team match. They're the reasons. AEW is the reason the tag team wrestling is back and is the best thing going in wrestling sometimes. So I love that match. Such a great match itself. I recommend to anyone who hasn't seen it yet. And then, like I said, I honestly, it's hard for me not to do this, but I would have to say, I was gonna say Drew McIntyre versus Randy. Just the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view was just. I thought all three of those Hell in a Cells were awesome.
They were all great. It really was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't done that in so long. I mean, they were the ends to feuds. It was just they all had stories. It wasn't just like, I know you guys just met each other 2 weeks ago, but it's gonna be Hell in a Cell. It actually meant it. It was worth it for me. So those were awesome matches too. Any other matches you can think of, Moose? I know we kind of brought up the Greatest Show. Any others you can think of for you, man?
I really enjoyed the Champions versus Champion match, the New Day versus Street Profits. I mean, it wasn't as long as I wanted it to be. I think they could put on similar matches like the FTR and Young Bucks caliber, but that match was still very memorable for me. Like you said, Drew and Roman, that match was very intense, hard hitting. What else was there?
Max is one too. Keep thinking.
I finally thought of more women's matches. So I got Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I thought was also really well done.
Oh my God, yeah, that what started off the second night of WrestleMania. Great match.
Yep. And then also the triple threat of Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte versus Io Shirai, with Io Shirai finally winning the championship.
Oh wow, yeah.
I thought that was awesome as well.
I thought of another big moment too of WWE. Was when Becky Lynch announced that she was pregnant on live television and gave Asuka the title. And she
WWE's number one superstar leaving during this year because she got pregnant.
By the Monday Night Messiah.
By the Monday Night Messiah, exactly. Well, we only have less than a minute. Is there anything else you guys can think of before we kind of go with this end of this episode here?
2020 was an up and down year, but I think 2021 is gonna just keep getting more better and better, and we just gotta stay positive. I know it's kind of hard to without the fans, but at the end of the day, we just gotta be thankful that we have wrestling to watch because someday we might not.
Any last thoughts, Max?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that it was definitely great to have wrestling here with us still, have that constant throughout this tough year. That was always great, and I think I'm excited for this WrestleMania season, man. I'm excited to see where AEW can go this year and to bring back full crowds, or at least partially full crowds, and have that environment come back here to wrestling. I can't wait for that. So,
yeah, man.
Because Mania hasn't been fully canceled yet.
Well, it won't be probably. No, it won't. There will literally need to be God will show up before WrestleMania is canceled. All right, now just want to say, guys, thank you guys again for this entire year. 2020 has been a doozy, but it was always made better whenever I knew I could at least talk about wrestling with you guys. So I appreciate you guys so much. I'm glad we're back. Just Three Jobbers was started in 2020. 2021 is going to be an even bigger year. We're going to have sweatshirts. Moose can't go into that because we got to shut this down quick. But just want to thank everyone for watching. Thank everyone for being here with us. Wrestling is here. Wrestling is still here. And 2021 is going to be the best year possibly yet for wrestling, I'm predicting. So thank you guys again. I love you guys. And hell yeah, cheers to the end of the year and cheers to a new year.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Happy holidays, everybody. Bye.